Meetings will have the concerts going, right?
On Wednesday.
May take a little bit extra to get to our meeting kind of thing, parking and everything.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So welcome everyone to the June 21st, 2023 Plastow Planning Board meeting. With that, we will kick in a roll call.
Tom Alberti.
Here?
Karen is excused.
Yes.
Lauren Millette.
Here.
Chuck is excused. Fowler?
He's excused as well.
Very good, thank you. Richard Anthony.
Here.
Tim Moore.
Here.
Bill Coy.
Here?
I don't know whether Jay will be here or not.
I don't believe so.
Victoria Healy.
Here.
And that's it.
Excellent. All right. With that, we will have a review of the minutes.
Should we appoint?
Any questions, comments?
Should we appoint Richard and Tim?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah, with Chuck's absence and also Karen's absence, that will put both Tim Moore and Richard Anthony as voting members. So we'll appoint them as voting members for this evening. You guys are getting lots of action.
Oh, yeah.
So pulled up to the bigs. All right. Any questions, comments on the minutes?
Make a motion to approve as written.
Second it.
Richard seconds. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes 5-0.
No, I'm abstaining because I wasn't here.
4-0-1, thank you.
That's right.
Thank you. All right. With that, we'll move to the public hearings. First on the agenda is PB 23-06. Completeness of an application from Frank Muraco, 43 Douglas Street, LLC, for an amended site plan that proposes a change of use to add business office and storage of equipment vehicles used to service a product to the existing retail use. The property is located at 27 Garden Road, tax map 26, lot 53 in the C1 zoning district. Property consists of 2 condo units and owners of record of 43 Douglas Street LLC and Randonia LLC. If the application is found to be complete, the planning board may immediately conduct a public hearing. My understanding is this is a new application, correct?
Yes.
Different from the prior one, so we would need to start from scratch. All right. Let's take a quick look at that. Any comments, Victoria, on the completeness of the application?
No.
Office sort of vehicles are used to service product. Any questions from the board about application completeness? Anyone want to put forward a motion to accept the application?
I move to accept the application for an amended site plan that proposes a change of use to add office and storage of vehicles and equipment used for the servicing of a product to the existing retail use for the property located at 27 Garden Road, tax map 26, lot 53, and as noted in the legal notice PB 23-06 as complete.
Second it.
Richard seconds. All in favor? Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes 5-0. The application has been accepted as complete, and with that, we will invite the representative to talk about the application.
We did the wrong one up there.
Did Frank put that up there?
You must have.
What's that?
Do you have any, anything to put up on the screen?
No, I thought everything was on the screen.
It might just be a different tab. I see
Yeah.
the second
It's gotta
tab
be
over.
this. Gotta be the wrong one.
Are you volunteering your services to correct this?
Of course.
Otherwise, I just have my kids do it. Thanks, Victoria.
It might be this one here.
Oh, yep, there it is. You got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the photos,
Yeah.
and that's the plan.
Great.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Well, my name is Dan Corvus with DK Engineering. I believe we went through this before.
Dan, can you spell your last name again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's Koravos.
Great, thanks.
And the reason for withdrawing it and resubmitting it is there was some misunderstanding on what the use was going to be. We got that cleared up. I met with Dee and discussed it with her also, and she assisted in preparing the application the way we needed it to be. So if you like, I'll go through a brief description of the project, or I think everyone has heard it before, but I'll be glad to go through it. The site's located at 27 Garden Road. The property is on the east side of Garden Road, south of the Firestone facility, and east of the Village Coin, or Rockingham Trading Post, and west of the Little River, which is off the property. The property is in commercial zone C1, commercial 1 zone. The area of the site is approximately 1.2 acres. The site's developed with retail business and associated parking. The rear of the property is wooded, and east side, east of the site is terrain that steeply slopes down towards the Little River. The soils on the site are mapped as NRCS by NRCS consists mainly of Windsor series, which is an excessively drained loamy sand. The change of use, as was mentioned, is to include retail business, business office, and storage of equipment, vehicles used for service of a product. There's no construction proposed on the site at this time. It's just the change of use.
Could, one of the things, and if you're going to go into something else, that's fine. Would you be able to sort of detail how the first application and this application differ? With that, I think that might be helpful, because I guess
Sure.
we're trying to figure out where we were stuck last time.
Yeah.
That made the board feel it was necessary to do a site walk, and we may still feel that need. So I just want to understand the differences.
That's why I had the surveyor take pictures of the entire site from June 14th. And these pictures go around the entire property to show what's there today. I thought that might help in getting a clear idea of what's going on. And the difference is mainly the use that was proposed. There was going to be the bus transportation facility. That's no longer going to be here. That's one of the main things that we pulled out. But it was also supposed to include the retail and the office space. But the way it was written up, it was to eliminate the retail and just have office. So that wasn't going to work out with the client. So we had to go back and take another look at that and find out exactly what the uses were going to be, how it was going to be used, and how we had to word it based on the regulations.
So any questions from the board at this time? So just to be clear, the buses, including the storage of the buses in the rear, which I understand is currently happening.
Not anymore.
Okay.
That's been moved to another location.
Okay.
I think, I'm not sure where, but it's not in the vicinity.
And right now, so looking at the pictures, it's the darker building, right? Independent of the Rockingham Trading Post.
Part of the building with the Rockingham Trading Post is the entrance to the offices that they have. So the right-hand side of the building, the white building, and the brown building is going to be part of what we're proposing mainly.
Are they separated at this time through a wall or in any capacity?
Yeah.
So the Rockingham Trading Post will be no longer existing?
No,
Is-
that's gonna stay where it is.
Okay,
But there's a door inside that connects
okay,
it to like a waiting area. But everyone that uses the Rockingham Trading Post, they go in through their door. And to be honest, I've never been on that side.
okay. All right,
That's gonna remain as it is.
so Rockingham Trading Post will stay as is. The darker part of the portion of the building will be the glass business,
Right.
which is currently operating as such, or?
It was, but I think everything's been pulled out of there. And I think the photos show that it's no longer there. And the glass that was piled up in the back, they've cleaned up. One of the pictures that you have shows, yeah, this picture here shows the blue top. All this stuff that was under there was from the pawn shop before the current owner moved in. And I asked him about getting rid of all that stuff. He said as soon as this is over, he's going to take it. He cleaned up a lot of it already, but he got all the glass out of there and everything else. And this other stuff he's going to clean up once he has the right to do it.
I didn't realize that Rockingham Pawn Shop was still going to be there. I
Yeah.
thought they were going to run their operation out of the whole building. I didn't think it was going to still be Rockingham.
Yeah, a small portion of it's going to be the pawn shop,
Okay.
whatever it is.
So you're we're essentially proposing office, retail, mixed use, right? No
Right.
specific information beyond that.
But one of the categories would allow them to have operate the glass company out of it, which allows them to store the vehicles there and receive supplies and things. That's one of the main changes that was made to this application.
Because they're glass contractors, right?
Well, I believe the way it works is they
Because
go
there's,
to,
there's no contractor's yard in C1. We don't allow that.
no. What they do is they receive like windshields and they put it on their car. They go to the place and install it for them. I believe that's the main part of it.
Well,
It's interesting.
I still want to go on a site walk. I don't know about the other board members, but
I'm almost good either way. I can go without one. I think the pictures helped quite a bit. The outside, there's no proposed changes to the outside of the building at all?
No. Well, we show the parking configuration to show that we have the amount of parking that we specify. It's shown like striping, but they don't have there's no intent in striping it right now. There's no need for it.
Will there be vehicles parked there overnight?
Yes.
Any idea the number, how many?
They have a truck.
What's our limitations on service vehicles? Do we have? I'm trying to remember, kind of asking this question to the board. Typical service-related vehicles. I know we have some language around that in our zoning. Do we have any?
I
Specific.
don't know the specifics on that.
They have a truck in the back there.
Yep.
They use it to plow and to do what maintenance. Mainly. The white van is not part of it. It's, from what I understand, it was the guy at the pawn shop. So everything else has been taken out of there. The only thing that might be there, I don't know if it's allowed, but having the vans for the glass company stored there overnight. Other than that, there shouldn't be anything.
I guess I'm a little. It's not a big property. There's not a whole lot of impact, but it was a little awkward, right, with the initial site plan proposal with some unclear things. And I think I found it interesting that we proposed a site walk, and then just prior to the site walk, it was canceled, almost like to say, "Oh, geez, we don't want them to come and see what we're doing almost. And I'm not saying that that's what the impetus was for the cancellation, just saying that
Right.
the timing was interesting. So within that, I mean, I guess I'm not 100% clear on what the use is going to be. It almost sounds like we're still in the same boat as we were heading into the initial plan.
There are basically three uses. One would be the pawn shop that's existing, and I think there's one person in there that runs it, or that owns it. Then they're gonna have the glass company, which we talked about. And the other one would be offices for different businesses that he owns. But there might be, the number of people that would be there would be very small because the companies are very small and they all work on all of them. So it's basically offices, pawn shop, and the glass company.
Victoria, do you have any input or thoughts or comments?
As long as you're abiding by the parking requirements, it is, they are vehicles that are going to be used in the glass business, which is retail. And
Is a use, I mean, that was interesting that Laurie brought that up, is a use acquiring in use in the repair of glass service, would that be considered retail or would it be considered contractor?
per your zoning, it doesn't explicitly say that.
I believe the last time we were here, I forget the name of the other lady that was.
Jennifer Rowden?
What's that?
Jen Rowden?
Yeah. She had said that if it was filed as retail, then the glass company would fit into that. And that's one of the main reasons we changed it the way we did.
Yeah, I don't know if I recall that, but that's just my memory.
Was it clear to anybody else that the pawn shop was still going to be there? Am I the only one that didn't realize it was still going to be there? Was that clear to you? I thought that was leaving.
Was that the original intent or?
No.
I think pawn shop was always going to be there, Laurie.
I didn't, that wasn't clear to me.
So the large vehicles that originally were going to be parked in the back, under the idea that it was going to be a transportation type arrangement, those aren't going to periodically show up, because I mean, in driving by, I did see, at one point or another,
Right.
that it was there.
Yeah.
But
That,
it's not going to be episodic like that.
no. That's, I think, and I might be wrong, but I think what I heard is that the insurance, because of what they were planning to do there, their insurance company wasn't in favor of it. So they moved back to where they were and just consolidated all the transportation there.
All right. And the darker building that looks like, it has I mean, is that a garage door, like a functioning garage door?
Yeah.
And is that just to accommodate the storage of material that's moving in and out, or are there
Yeah.
vehicles parked in it, or?
There aren't any that, I've never seen any in there. But yeah, they can access it through there to work on a vehicle or something, or if they have a flat tire, or if they have to mount the glass on it and the weather's bad, they would be able to do it in there.
So is the office space that you're talking about, is that area in between the trading post and the portion of the building that has a garage door on it? Is that where the office space is?
The office space is in the white, where the white section, there are two doors up there. There's one on the left that just falls off the sheet. That's the pawn shop. And there's another door right behind that tree. That's the client's main office. That's where his offices are gonna be in there.
Okay. And in the back, where you said, you have the cleared out parking area, there's going to be glass vehicles that, that are going to be staged there.
They would probably park them there overnight.
Okay.
But they'd be on the road all day. When someone comes out to take them out, they'd bring their car out and then take the van and leave.
Okay. And, to Lori's point, is there going to be the material that the company is going to be utilizing to do their business? Is it going to be staged outside or is
No.
it staged inside?
It'd be staged inside.
Okay.
Although I think they have the right to put some out there. I don't think that's in violation of any.
I feel like I've seen, when you go by auto glass places, you often see windshields staged outside,
Yeah.
right? Because it's, who
I don't-
cares about the weather?
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason they can't, but I don't expect that they will. I haven't been told that they will.
So it's not going to be utilized like a lumber yard or something like that, that back area where you have just, product that's
Yeah, what?
like a lumber yard or something. It's not going to be like you have, product that's placed. It's going to be predominantly for parking.
Well, yeah, there's an area, if you look at that picture, there's an area in there that's grass between the edge of pavement and the building. That they could put stuff in there like what's there, but they're gonna clean all that stuff
Yeah,
up.
so it's not, you're talking about that grassy area
Yeah.
there or something.
That's not gonna, if they put something in there, it's not gonna interfere with the parking.
Okay.
I think the biggest concern from the initial application was that it was unclear exactly what was going to be used and for what uses. And we were understanding that there were multiple businesses being run. I think it's almost as if because there's multiple businesses and we don't know what all those businesses are, question is, does the plan get approved, go through, and then next thing you know, we do find some other business, it's part of his business dealings, and now he's got XYZ in the back, he's got XYZ, it's almost like if we're going to, what we don't want is to find out that our approval is vague and in essence allows something that maybe we didn't consider. I'd be okay with a sidewalk. I don't think it would be a long one, but I'd be okay with it. Just to sort of,
If it's possible, would prefer not to, just because of the delay. I mean, it's gonna take another month before we get to that. And you're not gonna see anything different than what these photos show.
yeah, but we already would have done a sidewalk if the applicant didn't cancel. So it's really, that delay isn't on us.
No,
I'd say it's on the applicant.
Definitely not on you. I mean, it's just, something that he's under the gun to get going on this thing. And if it's possible to skip the sidewalk, that'd be great, but that's up to you.
Any other questions from the board?
It still seems that there are a lot of questions for the actual business owner. The original issue with the site plan presented before was that it was for small transportation with associated office, and then there was something else. So what I hear you saying is to prevent any future administrative issues for our zoning officer, kind of getting that actual answer from him of what is he actually doing in this building, I believe would be comforting.
But I think according to the zoning, the way it's filed for the use, that would cover almost any kind of office or facility that's needed in there. And
Yeah.
that was one of the reasons to change it, because he has a couple little businesses. And, they'll be doing office work in there, and that might involve paying bills, receiving accounts receivable, or paying, or whatever. And like I said, even though he owns a couple businesses, basically it's the same people doing it for whatever businesses he's got. And if anything comes up that's not allowed under the zoning for the use that we're proposing, then he'd have to come back to the board and get a change of use for that. And that's the reason it was changed the way it was.
Yeah, I think there were some code enforcement violations already in effect with the vans out there, and then of course the road was that portion of the area was paved without approval. I don't know. I think that's kind of what perked up our ears.
Yeah, and I understand that. I apologize for him not being here tonight. He was supposed to be. I got a text at 4:00 saying there was a medical emergency in his family and his mother was rushed to the hospital, and he was heading to Boston. And that's, I made it clear that he should be here. And that's, it was just out of control.
Sure. No, I certainly hope everything's okay with his
Yeah.
family. Yeah. So I guess I'll throw this out to the board. Would the board feel more comfortable doing a site walk again? I don't think it would take much longer than 15 minutes. And in all likelihood, maybe that will help us understand things and feel better about it, and then we can move forward with the reviewing the application.
I mean, I'm just kind of looking at all that's really going to be out there would be glass trucks, right? And
Yeah.
that's really about it. We know they're going to store most of the stuff inside. You might have some of the stuff stored outside in the grass area. And the pawn shop, that piece there that's already operating is one, and you just
Yeah.
have the office space in the middle. And nothing's proposed to be changed outside to the building at all, or to the parking area, or any, to making it, nothing's gonna get any bigger for the parking area, right?
No. There's a lot of pavement out there. There's plenty of parking space.
Well, there was also a grassed area that was supposed to remain grass that
I don't know.
they've now paved.
Well, yeah, I don't know what happened to that. It was all gravel when I went out there. I think I was speaking to you where I said that wasn't paved, and you said it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So that's why, these questions, they went ahead and did things, and like Tom was saying, everything, we would have already have gone there.
I know.
So,
But a lot of the issues that they've had out there, like the sign that's not on the property, and those are things that were there long before my client purchased it. So it's kind of hard to see. Yeah, they paved it, and they had the previous plan that showed it being paved. And he was, I don't know. I don't know why they did it when they did it. Other than he said that they were out there and they said, well, why don't you just pave that too? I don't know.
Speaking of the sign, what did we come up with on the sign? Didn't we recommend that there would be some discussion with the
The
abutters to see if they could?
Yeah, the abutters, Firestone, I think they're in Kentucky or something.
Okay.
And we just decided to move it.
To move it? You have moved it?
We're gonna.
Okay.
Once we get the approval for this, we'll move it over. I think it's like 10 or 12 inches off the property line.
and then I don't know about the signs on the building with our zoning. I don't know if you can have two different businesses with those signs on the building. I don't know if it's only one, seeing that there is now a freestanding sign.
That I don't know.
I think there's something in the zoning.
If there's something that has to be done with that
Because
will.
normally this type of business would not be allowed a freestanding sign. Those are only usually supposed to be for plazas. But I actually checked it today. I went to the building department and I did see that they got a permit for it in 2018.
Yeah.
So, but I think there's something to do with the building, the signs on the building itself.
In that, they'll have to do whatever
Right.
they're told to do, or either that or get a permit or do whatever they have to.
Right. That would be through the
Building department.
building department, the
Yeah.
building inspector.
All right.
Again, the sign was put in, I think, in 2018.
Right, that's what it said. That's what it was
Yeah.
dated that I read today.
Right.
I know there's some other properties that have random things on them that really surprise me that some of those things are on them. So I think that's my concern, right? That because there's multiple businesses being run out of there, some liberties will be taken to sort of expand the use or stretch the use of that particular property.
And like I say, if it is like office space for the facility, for the whatever he's got on those signs, that would be allowed under the change
Sure.
of use.
I think it's the rest of the property. All right. Well, just in the interest of moving things along, we can either, I guess I'll put this out there. Is there interest from the board about doing a site walk?
I still want to go on one.
I'm all set
About
without one.
anybody else?
Richard, do you have any?
I'm amenable to a sidewalk.
Tim, do you have any input on that?
I don't think it's necessary. I mean, it's a pretty small site. You can see most of it as you drive by, so I don't see that we gain anything by
Yeah.
going on a site walk.
I could go either way. I guess I'm a little leery because of the way things changed. At the end of the day, it won't hurt. It should be, to the benefit of the applicant and the board to have a full understanding. All right. So if we would have to put a vote for that, correct? Okay. Date-wise, would there be availability for the next application meeting? Which is, I believe,
Yeah, we
July
could go before,
19th ahead of it.
right?
Okay. 5:30-ish, probably reasonable, 5:45.
I would say 5:30.
Okay. Do you want to make a motion to,
I'll make a motion that the planning board goes on a site walk to, is it 27 Garden Road on July 19th at 5:30.
Second it.
Richard seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
All right. Motion passes 3-2. Nays are Bill and Tim. Okay. Procedurally, anything else we need to do?
You have to continue the public hearing.
Okay. Any other questions at this time from the board? All right. With that, we'll continue the public hearing to July 19th. There will be no additional butters notices. Before I do that, actually, I want to see if there were any members of the public who want to speak about this application. Okay. So we will continue this application to July 19th at 6:30, preceded by the site walk at 5:30. All right. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
All right, moving along, moving to the next public hearing, which is PB 23-07. Completeness of an application from Lewis Builders Development, Inc. Attention Josh Manning for a two-lot subdivision. This plan proposes to subdivide the parcel at 17 Harriman Road, tax map 50, lot 78, said to be 2,143,873 square feet, 49.2 acres of land area, and 315.27 feet of frontage on Harriman Road into two parcels. Parcel 1 proposed to be 137,857 square feet, 3.16 acres of land area, and 157.7 of frontage on Harriman Road. Parcel 2 proposed to be 2,006,008 square feet. Yeah, good English there. 46.5 acres of land area and 157.6 feet of frontage on Harriman Road. Property owner of record is Gerald E. Holt. Revocable trust, November 9th, 2022, Gerald E. Holt, TR. If the application is found to be complete, the planning board may immediately conduct a public hearing. All right. So there were some challenges getting all this information ahead of us. So we're going to have a discussion certainly on the completeness of the application initially, and then move forward with that. Any questions about the completeness of the application? Any comments from the board?
You guys have that loaded up onto that computer. It would be a good thing to bring it up. This is loaded onto the computer already.
the computer's.
Grab one of the tabs.
Yeah, they're all open. You just have to switch tabs on the screen.
There you go.
Staff report does recommend that the application be accepted as complete. Any questions on that from the board? Anybody like to make a motion to accept the application as complete?
I move to accept a two-lot subdivision application for the property of 17 Harriman Road, tax map 50, lot 78, and as noted in the legal notice as PB 23-07 as complete.
Richard makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Bill seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes 5-0. All right, at this time, we'll open the mic to the applicant representatives. Please state your name clearly, speak into the mic. That would be much appreciated. And please tell us about this application.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Joe Coronati, Jones Beach Engineers. With me, I have Josh Manning from Lewis Builders. They're the applicant on this property. The property is owned by Gerald Hoyt, as you mentioned in your opening comments. The Holt. Oh yeah. Holt. So this property has been before the town previously at the zoning board. It was ultimately approved by the Housing Appeals Board for a variance for the frontage of the property. This is a large piece of property in Plaistow. This is 49 acres. And what we're looking to do with this application is to simply subdivide off the existing house from the remaining land. The remaining land would then be owned by Lewis Builders. There's no application before you tonight for any further development of the remaining land. It's just a two-lot subdivision, fairly simple at this point for this application. And both of the new lot or the smaller lot, the 3-acre lot, meets your zoning, it meets your aquifer protection zoning, and it has the existing house and septic already on the property. We are required to have state subdivision look at this because the one lot is, the 3-acre lot is below the 5-acre minimum for the state, so that we will require a state subdivision approval for the 3.16 acre lot. Obviously, the bigger undeveloped lot, the 46 acres, does not require any state approvals. And we did ask for for 6 waivers on the application. Your subdivision regulations are typical as most towns. They require a lot of detail. But being this is only a 2-lot subdivision, we don't really have the detail. So we had requested waivers for having to provide HIS map, soils, many of your stormwater regulations, and soil erosion details, mainly because we're just really not proposing anything on that large lot at this time. So it's so we asked for that waiver. So it's and we did receive staff comments, staff report today, and a checklist review. We can comply with all of those requests from staff without an issue. And I know the plans have been sent to Keach Nordstrom, and we've not yet gotten a comment letter back, but he did look at it back when we were at the zoning board, mainly for the site distance and the driveway location was his main focus at the ZBA level. And so and that's really the only thing that's really on these plans is that was looked at pretty significantly before this board. And we do have a site distance plan and profile. It's the last page of the plan set. And we do have an easement, site distance easement shown on sheet A1, which is our subdivision plan. So the Herman Road has some slopes, and so we looked at the location of a potential future driveway on this new 46-acre lot. So we came up with a location. We did profile grading, and to come up with a location for that driveway, as well as to provide safe site distance. And that's on the last page, as I mentioned, of the plan set. So it's hopefully we provided everything that you would need on this at this point, and happy to answer questions.
Yeah, so just a couple things. I'm going to ask Victoria, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to ask you, since I've been involved with the board, for over 3 years, we haven't had a HAB involvement. So I'd like to just understand that a little bit better. If you have some information to share about that role, that would be great. Might be helpful to the public as well to understand that role.
Yeah, no problem.
And also procedurally, we have some requirements as a board. We ask that we have all our paperwork ahead of us, typically the prior week to the application, whether that's internal or external. When we have delays, often that doesn't give us maybe the appropriate amount of time to review all the materials. We understand there's some procedural things. Number one, we don't have the Keach Nordstrom report yet. Staff report came to us later today. Some challenges there with electronics and whatnot. And then also within that, procedurally, I know the waiver request isn't on the proper paperwork, and I'm not worried about that per se, but just to put this out there, we are going to have open discussion. I'm going to open the floor to the public to hear comments if they so choose to speak. But there's a great likelihood that we're going to be continuing the hearing for those reasons. So I figured I'd put that out there. But
That's understood. Thank you.
yeah. So yeah, if you have anything to share on the HAB and the involvement and what that means, I think that might be helpful.
Yeah, so just a little bit of background on this property. As many of you may be aware, this did go to the ZBA before. It was not approved twice. And then they went to the Housing Adjustment Bureau and split the property in half. So now the frontage is going to be 157.7 feet and 157.6 feet. It was originally denied because it's supposed to be 200 for each entry. The Housing Adjustment Bureau did allow this to go through with some conditions. So I'll just read right from this. There was a site distance easements shall be referred in any deeds conveying either lot created by the subdivision plan. The easement shall require the property owner to be responsible for maintenance of the site distance as shown on the site distance profile plan. February 11th, 2021, with revisions through August 6th, 2022, represented by the applicant as Exhibit A2 at the ZBA's meeting of August 25th, 2022. The site distance profile plan, Exhibit A2, as presented at this meeting, is included in the subdivision plan that is submitted to the planning board. The site distance easement to be prepared by the owner in favor of the town of Plaistow shall have language that notes the costs of continually maintaining the required site distances are the responsibility of the property owners. This variance is valid only for the subdivision of the lot as depicted on the plan titled Harriman Road Subdivision dated February 1st, 2021, with revisions through August 6th, 2022, as submitted with the application. Any change in the frontage calculations will invalidate this variance. Revisions to this plan, as may be required by the planning board during their subdivision review process, that do not change the frontage as granted by this variance, will not invalidate this variance. The applicant noted during the meeting that any structure will be a minimum of 235 feet from Harriman Road. On the new 46.5 acre lot, there's already a structure on the smaller 3.16 acre lot. Okay, so what does that mean? That basically, zoning likes to have a sufficient distance on the road for safety and visibility for drivers. So basically what this is saying is the rules are the rules for a reason. We are going to allow you to do this, but you have to be especially wary of why they were in place. So have to maintain visibility on the road and the driveway. And they explicitly said that that is the landowner's responsibility, all costs, and that nothing is allowed to be near that lot line. So nothing can obstruct visibility. That's basically what it's saying.
So the HAB, in lieu of going through the court system, was almost like a legal intermediary, and acts to resolve cases. So they, in essence, allowed for a variance. Did the HAB board members go out to the property and physically see the challenges of that road? I imagine they didn't, right? I mean, that's interesting. But so right now we're just considering a lot subdivision, not even talking about any sort of future plans for any of the property, correct? Where's the easement located?
I've zoomed in a little bit. I don't know if I can zoom in more. So the site distance easement is located on Gerald Holt's property, his 3.16 acre lot. And basically it's this odd shaped triangle along the front of his property. And it's mainly for, site distance looking across his property, that if he allows anything to grow up larger that obstructs sight distance, the owner of the larger property, the 46 acre lot, acre property, would be able to go and remove that to not obstruct their sight distance. So
What about coming from the other way, up the hill, so to speak?
in that direction, if you look at the kind of the last page in the plan set has the sight distance lines. Looking the other way, the way the road is curvy, it does a little S curve here. There's no need for any easement. We're looking basically down pavement for over 300 feet.
Okay. All right. Open it up to the board. Any questions, comments?
Something else to note about the site distance easement is, in addition to allowing visibility for this driveway, by keeping this cleared out, it's also going to allow oncoming cars on Harriman to have a better view through the curve to see cars coming at them. right now, a car traveling this way can't see another car until they get around this corner where they get through the trees because it's so thick. So this is all the trees are gonna get cut, and it's gonna get regraded in accordance with that plan. So it'll also help through traffic on Harriman, being able to see oncoming cars in either direction better than they can now. So something else that is a benefit to that whole area and not just this driveway, so.
All these waivers, are they waivers that only apply to the current subdivision of the land, and at any time, if the other parcel is proposed for development, obviously all those waivers, or all those requirements wouldn't, the waiver only carries for this subdivision portion, correct?
Certainly, yeah. It's just for this application, and if we, if there was another proposal of a development on this, we would certainly have to provide stormwater analysis and soil mapping, and those types of things for local and state approvals.
Okay. Any input from the board? Any other questions at this time? Victoria, any other commentary? All right, so I know there's members of the public. If anybody would like to speak, we welcome that. There's a microphone table and a microphone there. Please give your name and your address. That would be much appreciated, and we look forward to hearing from you.
I'm Megan Martin, Meghan Martin from 9 Buttonwood Farm. I have a question before
What's the
I,
address?
9 Buttonwood Farm.
Thank you.
Question before I proceed. The waiver application for all of those drainage requests, that has not been approved?
We haven't, at this time, we have not considered them, nor will we this evening, because the procedurally weren't presented appropriately. But when a waiver request comes in, the board will vote on them. So we'll read them, vote on them, and we'll consider. I don't know if you caught the last piece, any of the waivers, if we were to grant any waivers, are only applicable to basically looking at this piece of paper and cutting it in half. None of those things would reasonably be waived for any type of development on
So when
either
a
of the
plan gets
parcels.
submitted for a
Yeah,
structure on this property, these
Absolutely.
regulations will have to be followed.
yeah, we would check every, all those boxes. But that's a great question, and we would make sure we handle that appropriately.
And if it's all right, I'll proceed with my statement, question, whatever. So I will ask the board to deny this waiver because without baseline information to be able to assess or predict the impact of the proposed driveway and any future structure due to the redirection of rainwater, drainage, et cetera, into and near the wetlands on that property, the baseline data has to be taken and to inform whether or not it's even plausible to submit a plan for development on this property. Thank you.
Thank you. Josh and, Joe, right? Josh and
Yes.
Joe. Can you speak to we understand that there is currently in that easement designation, you said there's currently vegetation, it was going to be some regrading done. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, there is the current owner has a little loop driveway in here, and we've located the trees, the larger trees that are out there. But in the profile, you'll see that there's a small area that's going to be graded down in order to provide that sight distance across that property. So that's something that the applicant will do to provide sight distance, and then as far as the stormwater waiver that I think the abutter brought up is that when we do look at this property in the future terms, we will be looking at it that it's a 46 acre wooded property, and then that's the existing conditions. And then the proposed would be whatever the development, future potential development that's allowed by your zoning at that time would allow us to do. So we will be looking at it from a kind of a pre-existing scenario where it's wooded, open land, nothing on it, versus proposed in the future. And that's standard stormwater design that you've seen in all of your developments, commercial and residential for years now. Just to give some assurance to the neighbor that we won't be.
Do we, and I'm going to ask the board this because some of you are more, have done a better job of, better understanding all the documents. Anybody know if Dan Garlington had any input on the proposed driveway?
I didn't see
I didn't
any.
see anything in there either.
No,
So hold on just a moment.
I didn't see anything.
Okay, I didn't see anything either. So I just want to make sure I didn't catch that. Yeah, we have a public. We're going to allow public. So please join us. State your name, your address.
Hello, my name is Corinne Martin, Corinne, Martin 9 Buttonwood Farm. I am an abutter and I have a couple of questions. I know that we are here and you guys are continuing it to get additional information, but what brought us here tonight is the Housing Board overriding the ZBA public hearing from 8/25/22. I guess one of the questions that I want to ask you guys, I don't know if I can do this tonight, were the abutters given documentation and notification of the ZBA meeting last year? Because it hit the ZBA on 6/24/2021 and it was continued to 7/29/2021 when it was denied. And the court documents that I just read from the New Hampshire Housing Appeals Board are referencing ZBA 2022-25. And I went, 2022? This was 2021 that we received notification. I didn't receive any abutter notification for 2022 when the zoning board was going to have this. So I guess my first question is, and we already sent a message to D. Voss, can you guys verify that abutters were notified of the last ZBA meeting on the date of 8/25/2022? And if not,
Response back?
we have not heard a response back yet, because if we did not receive procedural notification of the ZBA meeting on the date of 8/25/2022, and another abutter here did not receive notification last year as well, how can we move forward with the Housing Appeals Board or the Planning Board meeting if the abutters did not receive notification of the ZBA meeting that took place less than a year ago? So that's my first question about the procedural process with this. The second thing I have is the court documents, or the documents from the New Hampshire Housing Appeals Board. In addition to referencing the ZBA public hearing 8/25/2022, they also state in the facts, if you guys want to go to the State of New Hampshire Housing Appeal Board, we're talking page 1. We are looking at the second paragraph at the bottom of page 1 that says, as part of the proposed subdivision issue in this appeal, the applicant seeks to subdivide the property into 2 non-conforming lots. Goes on to discuss the lots. It says both lots are proposed with less than the minimum amount, and it talks about how they had no plans to modify anything from the plan that was given to the ZBA. My question is, what are the revisions on the plot map that are dated May 2023? Because the map that's at the back has a revision date on here of 2023, when it wasn't supposed to be that way based on the results from the housing board. And it also talks about on page 7, the last paragraph discusses the applicant's failure to identify a proposed future use of the lot. So if they're not going to talk about future use of the lot, then what is the plot map that has a well moving, a septic moving, and then a new structure with a new proposed well and the new proposed septic, which the well and the septic also go really close to the wetlands if you can see the map. So that's one of my other questions. And so that hits the conclusion on the housing boards granting the access on letter D. The variance is only valid for the subdivision of the lot as depicted on the plan titled Harriman Road Subdivision dated February 1st, 2021, with revisions through August 6th, 2022 as submitted with the application. Any change in the frontage calculate will invalidate this variance. So what are the changes that were done in May of 2023 on the map that's there? That is after this. That's another question.
Well, can we, do you want to, is that a question you can answer right now, the 2023
Yes.
information?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we could, some of the stuff we're just going to listen, honestly, and we may not have answers for you. Just a little background, the ZBA and any of that process.
That's separate.
Completely independent from us.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that you understand that. And then what you'll hear from us, which may apply to the ZPA as well, is if we continue this meeting, you'll hear us say that this meeting is continued to this date with no further public notice provided. So just as an FYI, so to speak, assuming that we do continue this meeting this evening, we will state that publicly. But again, you wouldn't necessarily receive anything in the mail. How those apply to any past actions, I can't speak to that, but that may be a consideration.
Yeah, my concern with the ZBA, and that's why, Josh, I don't know if you can answer that question. Were the abutters notified of that meeting that happened August 25th, 2022? Because that was a new application, as was cited in the meeting minutes. It was a new application, which means all of the abutters need to be notified, just like they were in 2021. Do you guys have the documentation of that? Because we didn't receive anything.
I don't have it with me this evening, but the abutters were notified of that application.
Well, there's 3 abutters here that weren't. That's why I was wondering what brought us to this point, because, and so.
You don't physically do the mailings, we give the town, the plan.
Well, if the town didn't give it, then that, we'll address that. We're waiting on that. So I don't want to take up too much of the time, but I do request that you guys deny, I know we're continuing, but I do request that you deny the waivers that they are asking for. And my reasoning is this. They went to the housing board to be able to have the vegetation and trees removed, to be able to change the grading and all of that type of stuff. How are we to know if you were to approve of this, how do you know what that's going to do to the vegetation, the runoff, all of that, as well as any potential protected animals that are habitating back there, as is on video evidence? So there are questions of the organisms that are living in there, the environmental impact, and the protected habitat of animals that are living back there on that property on video. Thank you. The other thing, there is a Redfin or an MLS listing for that property. And I did reference that in 2021 at the ZBA meeting. I will note that it is the same MLS number, but the description has changed. It no longer says it can be developed. I brought that up at one of the other meetings. It seems like there's some stuff that you guys need to really look into here.
So what I'm going to ask is one question for you, and I appreciate your input. If you would please write up any of those questions. I certainly didn't catch them all, but I
Sure.
appreciate that you asked them. If you would email them to DVOS, but if you could also copy Plan Board Chair
Yes.
planboardchair
Yep.
@plastow.com.
Yep.
That will get to myself, and then we'll have a copy of those requests as well. I think the goal will be between the planning department and also the applicant representatives to provide some answers to you.
Okay. And to answer your question, Dan Garlington did write a formal letter regarding this on the ZBA meeting from 2021, and he said he will not speak to this.
Okay.
Can I address that?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that earlier. At the time, the ZBA did seek input from Mr. Garlington on the driveway, and he didn't feel his expertise were sufficient enough to analyze it at that time, given the curves and the road. And that's when the decision was made to put it out to Keach and Nordstrom at that time to review the site distance plan and driveway at all that. So the profile, sight line distances. So that's why Keach and Nordstrom was involved at the zoning board level, where they typically wouldn't be. And they would have just sought input from Mr. Garlington, but he wasn't comfortable making that call. So,
Okay.
But he's the one that gives driveway permits.
so he sought the town engineer's input before he would do anything with it.
Okay.
I think I'd be curious to see what I'm not sure if we have that or if it's going to be provided, Victoria. I'd be curious to see that response by KNA regarding that specific topic.
Yeah, no response has been given. I believe he's on vacation.
Okay.
There was a separate letter as part of the ZBA
Yeah.
application that pertained to that as well. So,
And to the butters, I mean, I don't know if you heard us. It's interesting, right? We have an application that is just specifically to take a piece of land and redraw some lines. So we understand, right? So that's the consideration that we have to give this particular application. We understand that there is some intent there, and we get that. But we almost have to treat that separately. It's just kind of the way things will work, but we understand, we appreciate the input. We have questions ourselves, so we are awaiting additional input both from the town engineer as well as staff. And that's one of the main reasons why we'll be looking to continue this evening. Any other questions, comments from the public? Anything from the board?
No, I think obviously we have to continue it. I mean, there's more questions than answers.
Yeah. Procedurally, Victoria, we're not going to get into the waivers tonight, right? Because this evening, because we have to put them into the proper procedure as well, paperwork and whatnot. All right. So last chance, anyone? With that, I think we can continue this hearing. So let me just make sure I do this properly. The application 23-07 will be continued. I don't require a vote. Is that correct?
No?
No.
To July 19th at 6:30. No additional abutter notices will be sent out. This meeting serves to provide that notice or that declaration. And
The question I have is, you'd like to get information at least a week in advance, or is there a specific deadline that we should be targeting?
for sure, and I think staff wants it well in advance, right? But staff, between Dee and Victoria, outstanding job, gives the board a staff report and other applicable information, typically the Thursday or Friday before the following week.
All right.
So an occasion, if there's a late addition, that's fine, but if there's lots of missing pieces, then that's typical to almost warrant a continuation without the full story in front of us.
Right.
So, all right. With that, we'll see everyone July 19th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. I did not prepare any updates on rules of procedure changes, so I was out of town last week when Dee asked for my input. I apologize, I didn't send any updates. Victoria, do you have any additional updates you want to throw in there? I know we had sort of talked about putting together a timeline and some other things. I
I
mean,
have my calendar if
You
you want to
do?
go over it now, or if you want to do the other things first, we can stick it under.
yeah, what else do we have to accomplish this evening? Is there a bond?
Jen drafted some language based off of our last conversation about the economic development work and making an amendment to the master plan update.
Okay.
So they'll have to be, if you do want it in the master plan, there'll have to be a motion to open up a public hearing to do so.
This evening? Or we have to, do we notice that?
No public meeting tonight.
Yeah.
You just vote to have a public meeting
Okay,
whenever,
okay,
probably next meeting.
all right.
Yeah, well,
That's
the next
July
meeting would
19th.
be,
August, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
well, we don't have
we're
the
not meeting.
workshop, right? Because
Right, because of the holiday.
Next workshop meeting would be August 2nd. All right. So, yeah, I mean, let's get this puppy, I get a pack for a trip.
Yeah.
So let's get this puppy moving. Yeah, whatever you'd like to introduce, I'll
Oh, you didn't look at it.
no, I apologize. I'm not sure what I'm looking at right now.
It's a memorandum from D.
Did I miss that?
Attaches the draft page that would be added into the master plan. The intention is to vote to move adding this new page to a public hearing. D said July 19th, but it's up to you. If you look at it ahead of time, it is quite short. I'm not sure how much discussion is needed.
this isn't the actual chapter, right? This is just
No.
the implementation part, right?
Yep, it'll just be
Missing this?
just
Oh,
slipped
yeah,
right in.
Duh.
Yeah.
So this is just something to be added to it.
I'm sorry. So my bad. I was missing
But
these two
we're going to
documents.
have a chapter for economic development, right? Not just this?
No,
We're not gonna?
no. Just this part. We're working on a housing chapter. Is that what you're talking about?
I thought that we were going to,
I thought she was gonna write up a draft for us to look at for a chapter.
I thought that as well. Did anybody else hear that?
Yeah, I think, I mean, we talked about economic development for a while. The confusing part came when we applied for the HOP grant. So
This
there's
year.
only so many hours, and you can't do both economic development and the HOP grant.
And what? Hop grant, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the option was, we know we need to update our housing section in the master plan, so that kind of took priority. Leaving economic development behind, writing up the chapter. But what we did want to do is have a set of goals and actions that we would take. So we could, engage the Salem Chamber of Commerce and PACE and trying to get other organizations involved in economic development. So, I mean, that would be one thing when we talk about our budget for next year. We would probably want to make sure we have money in there to do the economic development chapter.
Yeah.
I thought she was gonna at least give us a draft, something to work on, and then the implementation, it says ED1. Well, where would you look for ED1 in the master plan if it's not there? Right?
Well, because if you look at the other the other strategies, recommendations, in the implementation, they're all numbered just like this. There's no one, the chapter talks about general issues and potential things that you'd want to do, but in the implementation is a specific list. So the ED1 would only exist here, just like FLU1, future land use. You won't see that number 1 in the future land use chapter, but it was derived from that.
But we're not going to have an economic development chapter. We're just going to have this.
For right now.
Yeah. So what's,
So why we
I
put-
certainly wanted to close the loop on that because I didn't want it to be something we worked on for a year and then just sort of petered off with it. But yeah, I know we did talk about putting some implementation actions in place. I don't think it would take a ton to really write up something for the master plan, but like I said, typically I like to see some closure on a project. I know
I
that
thought she was going to write up a draft for us to at least look at, something to outline.
I'll follow up with you on that. We'll just see what that if that was the intent, or at least that was, maybe we just misunderstood. Everybody sort of maybe was on a little bit different page with that. Have a discussion about that.
I never saw the scope for the economic development work,
Okay.
so I'm not sure.
All right.
It was under my impression that it was the survey and analysis and then this part,
Okay.
not a whole chapter.
Yeah, I think it warrants it, but to Tim's point, I guess we got to figure out where we have the time and the resources and the money and all that stuff. So I'd like to see it done. I think it makes sense. But all right, I'll follow up.
Even if it's only like 1 or 2 pages. I don't know, something.
I can do that. I can do that.
Okay. And let me know. I mean, I don't want to put it all on you, Tim. I'd be comfortable chipping in as well, sort of, because I think we want to sum up the results of the survey. We want to project what the intent is and what the findings were in some degree, and then kind of what the next steps are in terms of achieving some of those, ultimate goals. So
I can follow up with Jen and see if she had any intention on summarizing
okay.
the results more so than this. Is that what you are talking about?
Yeah, I think so. I think we just get on the same page about whether or not we're going to put something in the master plan around the economic development piece, which I think would be desirable, as I think it's part of the 3 things we want to do, right? We did the survey. We want to update the master plan to reflect the work and then take some actions to wrap things up.
I think we had a few more changes to the implementation. So if we're going to update the implementation with this new stuff, we should consider the other changes that we had talked about.
So hold off on actually motioning this for public hearing?
No, that's all right. Just don't set the public hearing date.
Okay. So we would say something to the effect of, I move for the economic development section drafted by Jen Rowden to be added to a future date to be determined, or?
Well, it's easy enough just to put this in, and then if you wanted to update any more out of the implementation section, that could
We
be a
just,
good thing.
we continue to do this, right? If we add it, we can add this effective July 19th, but then if we did also some sort of a page write-up, we can just simply motion to add that to the master plan as well at a later date.
Yeah.
And public hearing wise, we just put that on the website, right?
Public hearing, yeah, it gets a notice.
There's no additional real cost to do that, right?
It goes in the paper.
We do have to pay for that. Okay, that's right.
That's small potatoes, though.
What's that?
That's small potatoes.
Is it? So it's not, we wouldn't necessarily want to consolidate them into one.
You could.
I mean, I don't think it hurts to get clarification on the write-up piece and then figure out if we do get a write-up, we can add them both to the master plan.
There's no harm in it.
All right, so we'll table this for now.
Yeah, I'd wait.
I would say we should devote our August workshop or part of it to wrapping up whatever we have for economic development.
I
for this
absolutely
year.
agree.
Yeah, 'cause if you do it in August, that's 6 weeks away, right?
Yep.
Yeah, then you do it in August, then you hold the public hearing in September, either depending on if there's a small number of applications like there was tonight, hold it on the public hearing night, since it's a public hearing. It
Sure.
kind of fits in, or if it doesn't, do it during a workshop night.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay.
This might actually be a great transition for the calendar, if you are ready for it. I can put it up on the screen.
Sure. Yeah, let's take a quick look at that.
All right. With fire. All right. I put a lot on the 19th.
Of July?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, you can't see it?
No, we see
No.
it's beautiful.
It's nice. I'd like to go
The
there.
hills of
Yeah.
Ireland, right? Galway, whatever it is.
There we go.
I gotta look at my calendar. I don't think I'm here the 19th, to be frank. Well, not, sorry.
That may have to change.
To be honest. What's that?
That may have to change.
I put a ton on July 19th because I'm not gonna be here. How's that?
You're gonna call in, right?
Yeah, I mean, we need to look at that because that's the application evening. And we're going to have 2 applications plus a site walk. So I would say that anything related to workshop stuff will have to probably get bumped.
Okay. I really wanted to talk about the survey though, because on the HOP grant we are on
We
a
got
time.
So we got deadlines.
So
What needs to be fulfilled for the HOP grant?
I already made the survey. I made a visual preference survey.
That's going to
And
be sent out,
I need you guys to look at it.
okay?
Give me your opinion. And then we kind of have to plan how we're going to distribute it, which I can also just give ideas. And if you have any more, then you can tell them to me and then I can send it off.
Can you send us the survey ahead of time so we have a chance to look at it, which
Yes, of
should help
course.
speed up the process, right?
That's what I was
That way
gonna
that
say.
we come in, we're prepared to talk about it.
Is it ready to be sent out now?
How many questions?
Sure, I can look at it.
Well,
This is not popping up on my screen.
no. I don't know if we need to look at it this evening, but I was going to say, if you could
I have
email,
it.
could we get it
It's-
emailed?
Really short too. I can just so that I don't.
But I think definitely if we have it ahead of time, that way we're not seeing it for the first time that night.
Yeah. I kind of just want to quickly go through it just so that I can show you just how short and simple it is. It should not be extremely time consuming to review it. It's a visual preference survey. It's loading right now. Okay. So it is a lot of this or that. Add your opinion. I don't know exactly how many questions it is.
So does that fulfill a requirement of the grant?
Yeah, just a survey. We decided to do visual preference because it's a little bit more, it's easier and it is more interesting. So I just have a couple edits right here. It's an introduction. The survey takes about 15 minutes, probably not. Some considerations for how to take the survey. Do you want additional information? Do you live in, own property in, or have a business? When you think of housing in Plaistow in the future, what concerns you?
Would distribution of this survey be different from the first survey we did? I mean, is there any reason why we would handle it differently?
I'm sorry, for which?
Well, the survey we did for the plan, the master plan, right?
Yeah, it's a lot shorter and it's very specific to housing.
Right, but in terms of distributing it, is there any reason why we wouldn't just use the same type of methodology to distribute it?
Probably not, unless we noticed any shortfalls last time.
I think we kind of, I think we kind of did about as good as we could, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually had a decent response, I think.
thought we
I
did
think
well.
we're happy with the
Yeah.
response. So I would just do the same exact thing.
Cool. Okay. And here's the visual preference part. There's 10 pictures. I like this. I would only like this in certain parts of Plaistow. I do not like this. Burger Plaistow. I do not like this at all. No opinion. And then you do that 10 times for different types of buildings.
The open questions preceding this, I know those are harder to gather the data with. Is there any thought about changing them into multiple choice in some capacity?
We totally could, but this is a pretty cool website. It does, it captures like themes of comments
Okay.
and kind of categorizes them together.
Using a little AI already?
Yeah.
Going to take over.
Yeah.
Planning board will be done by AI bots.
Yeah. So I will obviously send this out, but look at the pictures and see, do we have a good enough variety? And then here's just some demographic questions: employment status, age, annual income. Do you want more information?
That is pretty short.
It's really short.
Good.
Yeah.
That's a lot shorter than the last one.
It is.
Yeah.
It is shorter.
I mean, I
And
think
it's a little bit more fun.
I think you
don't
could do
know,
that in
there's
about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I think for housing preferences, I don't think we need to ask age or income. I don't think those are, well, maybe age.
Yeah, because you hit a certain age, and I'm getting there where you start thinking about downsizing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's mostly we want. It is a good piece of data, both of them. Also, we want to know that we're catching a wide variety of people. Because if we only have respondents in, 3 different income brackets, then we might need to try some expanded outreach, that type of situation.
Does it help you understand affordability factors too? I mean,
Yeah. Like if people respond that are only making over $100,000 a year, then the answers are going to be skewed.
then we know they can only afford to rent a home these days. Not even can't afford anything.
Rent's almost more expensive
Yeah,
than
you're
mortgages
right.
these
I was
days.
going to say, crazy. All right.
So there's
If-
that. It's not that.
So if you
scary.
want to send that out, I think that would be good because then maybe along the way, instead of, trying to plug it in a meeting that we might go get a little further along, maybe we can, maybe someone just throws in a question. Hey, did we ask about something or that, in between?
Okay, so we can definitely talk about this. the survey next meeting?
Yeah, because I think if we have it ahead of time.
Yeah, if we have it ahead of time,
I
then
think we should be able to
Yeah.
talk to that fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Do you want to push off the public hearing for economic?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you even want to talk about voting for a public meeting? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Because we're not in any particular rush.
No. No, I think
You want to use the information because it was given.
it can be addressed if August 2nd is a fine date for the public hearing or not, and if not, push it off.
Okay.
So might as well, it's not going to take time to discuss it.
Well, the 19th, the 2nd, we're only talking 2 weeks at that point, right?
Yeah.
You could just vote on it now and set the date for August for the
Yeah.
public hearing.
I
Totally up to you.
I don't know if we have time. Well, I mean, we have time, certainly legally. But, I mean, that's coming up. We only have one meeting in July.
Mhm.
And so we're going to be in the position of seeing material for the first time during a public hearing if we do it
Okay.
in August. So I would think September would be a safer bet.
So we won't talk about it at all the next meeting.
Won't be around.
We'll save that for August 16th.
Vacation and then work.
Well, I mean, I would think what's wrong with the August workshop? That already booked with, you have something else?
Nope. We're going to talk about the preference. I got rid of that.
If we talk about it on the August workshop and we want to make corrections, we can review those corrections at the August 16th or whatever the date is. Then we would be set to have the public hearing in probably either date in September.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
seems fair.
I like that.
Okay, so
We'll try for the first meeting in September for the public hearing.
okay, so vote to have public hearing.
And then 9/6 was, tentative public hearing date.
Cool. So back to the 19th, we will get rid of this. We have 2 applications and a site walk. I put the MS4 stuff. We can also push that back.
I think that needs to go to 8/2.
Yep.
Sorry?
The MS4 conversation needs to go to 8/2, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Workshop type stuff for. As well as the MP chapter.
Okay. Master plan. Chapter draft. Okay. Can we keep a short conversation on location and time for public information sessions and workshop?
Yeah, I think that's
We don't
fair.
have to go over the whole, what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I
and
mean, the
say.
tough thing is the applications will sometimes burn our brains. So
Yeah.
any kind of real discussion afterwards will be limited and try to limit them,
Okay. How does that look so far?
Well, I would take the 8/6 review MP chapter draft. Can that go in the 8/2?
You want to do it on A2? Oh, okay, because we're switching now.
No, because 8/16 is an application hearing date. The first one's always workshop, the second one's always applications. And again, we try to limit any type of workshop discussion at the application hearings.
Okay.
So if you have that, I would say MP chapter discussion is workshop related business, if we can put it on the 8/2 meeting. And if we don't get to it, you can go to the 9/6, but, right? Makes sense, board?
Yeah,
Yep, no, that works.
don't mind me. Continue.
Holy cow, you're scheduling us out till next June?
Heck yeah, I did. And wouldn't it be so cool at the end of every meeting if I came up here? It was like, look at the things that we have to do. Does that make you as excited?
It's stressful.
It is?
No.
No, I love-
No, I appreciate it,
I love being organized and
Okay.
planning.
There's nothing wrong
What are
with
the
that.
requirements due for 2023 for the HUP grant, besides the survey?
Everything?
Yeah, make sure we cover that
Yeah, everything.
to keep active.
Everything has to be done in 2023?
Yeah, pretty much.
So we have to have a survey, we have to have a public meeting,
Yep.
and what else?
I
Just
have to
those?
write the master plan chapter.
Okay,
I
But
also
that's
have
on
to
you,
do that in
right?
consideration to the public comments.
okay.
So we need the survey out soon.
Yeah. Yep.
How long do we want to keep the survey open for?
2 weeks?
How long did you keep the master plan out one for?
That was
Right,
open for
yeah.
a little, we had that open for a while because we really wanted
Yeah.
good input on that one.
Yeah.
So we would get some results. We would find out where we were in terms of respondents, and then we felt like we had a little bit of extra time. So we like, let's keep it out there. And then we'd all kind of hit Facebook and go, reminder.
Yeah.
We get a few more respondents. So
I think we were also running into the holiday season, so
Yeah,
we decided that,
Right.
people are busy with the holidays and not
Yeah.
doing that, so we kind of extended it to, I don't know, it must have been open for 65, 70 days.
it had a while. It was definitely 4 to 6
That might be
weeks.
about right, Tim.
So 2 to 3 weeks on this one, right? And really promote it? Or do we want longer? I mean, the problem is I don't think we have as much time.
I say you go with 2 weeks, really promote it, see what the numbers are.
yeah.
But I think 2 weeks should be the goal.
Okay.
People usually tend to
What's the
do
target?
surveys right away in the beginning, more in the beginning, the front end than the back end.
When's a good time to have the survey out to the public interest? We don't really want to do July. People are away. August is still vacation-y. Do we want to shoot for like 1st of September?
To put out the survey?
Or are we shooting to get that out sooner?
No, we got to do it sooner.
Okay. When do we want
I
to get
have
it?
to write the
She wants
full-
it out tomorrow.
I want it out tomorrow.
As soon as we can get it out, I say you get it out.
So
Can the board look at,
Can we look at it and then,
and then the rest of the week, if anybody has any comments, and then give her the go-ahead on Monday?
Yeah.
Good with
Wrap
that.
it up?
I mean, just push it out the same way we did
What?
before.
I
I
don't
mean, just-
necessarily think you need to do that. I just definitely don't want to wait till September because I need to have the
Well, I don't mean push it out on Monday to
the
promote it. I
master
mean, push it
plan
out like,
chapter needs to be completely written and adopted
I'll be honest, I think
in
if we
December.
have it ahead of our time for our next meeting, I think we could probably give you the go-ahead.
that's
The
kind
next
of,
meeting is totally fine.
that's kind of what we're getting at. Yeah. If like,
just September is.
yeah, if anybody,
so we'll give you the yes or no on the next meeting?
yeah,
Perfect.
Okay.
that works.
Cool. Yes.
And then when are you thinking about a public meeting?
For the dates and times, do you want to talk about this now, or do you want to talk about
Well,
it?
just kind of vague. August, September?
Well, my thing, right, if you can get it out, if we give the go-ahead on the 19th, right? Now you're pumping that out right away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why you couldn't discuss it on the 6th of September.
To have a public meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah. It just recommends that we have them done by November.
I mean, the public meeting,
By November?
Yeah.
Oh, Yeah, we better get moving.
Yeah. Yeah, because
So-
I can't write a good chapter unless,
I mean, if we give the
Survey
go-ahead,
and
if we give the go-ahead on the 19th, you can push it right out at that point, right?
Yeah.
So that's gonna give you, before we get to the 6th, you're talking 6, 7 weeks to get that in, and compile that information.
yeah.
All right.
Should be plenty of time, right?
Yeah. And I'm also a big fan of lots of notice for public events too. I think it gives and yeah, you want to advertise it early and often. Because people might be excited to come, but if you only give them a week's notice, sometimes you can't swing it.
Do we anticipate getting people to come?
Oh, they break the doors down for stuff like this.
Wise man.
But we could also have fun with it. It doesn't have to be so stuffy. Can we move the tables? Or like, oh no, we're going to the library.
I thought you were going to say bring a cooler. That's,
We could say like kids are welcome. You don't have to get a babysitter. It can be a little less official. We'll only talk at them for 15 minutes. Then we could have some more like fun type of exercises. And then maybe they won't dread the next one.
she's ambitious.
Have you ever attended any of these?
I know.
No. Have you ever attended
That's not a bad
one of
thing.
these?
Yes,
No.
and we had like 4 people show up at the
Yeah,
last
that's
one
because
I
they're
went to.
horrible. They're not fun.
I mean, if you have some good ideas, we're open.
Yeah, and you have
We
to
just know that this-
sidewalks, and sidewalks.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
But this is about housing.
Oh, they're going to tell you they want sidewalks.
They want to live. They want to live on a sidewalk.
Okay.
No, we're open for it. I mean, the running joke is the same. 20 people do all the volunteer things and show up at public meetings and stuff like that, right? It's more than that, but even so, a lot of people like to chime in on Facebook, and that's about it. So,
We got a game plan anyways.
yeah, all right,
Yes.
moving along.
Yeah.
Okay, so survey, you have to do, we have to have a public meeting. You have to do the master plan. Is that it? 3 checks for the requirement? Will we meet the
Yeah, and then-
obligation?
And there's what?
Will we meet the obligation of the grant by those 3
Oh, yeah,
things?
for sure. Also, I have
Okay.
to do land use regulation audit, which will be
We have to do what?
land use regulation audit, which means combing through all of your zoning ordinances and figuring out what is a hindrance.
Oh, interesting. Is that something you would do?
Yeah.
Okay, and then come back to us and say, hey,
What if we decide they're fine? No, I'm serious because we have a lot of housing in it right now. that
Yeah.
I know many other towns don't, but we do. We accommodate a lot.
Yeah. It also has a lot to do with the build out analysis too.
When do we get that?
Not anytime soon.
so how do you write the chapter without that information?
I can still write a chapter without a build out analysis.
Yeah, I mean, the build out is only going to tell you how many of these things that you want
Yeah.
versus the regulation tells you what type of things you want.
Okay.
The only way that having a build out analysis before a housing chapter, because you don't want to get terribly technical in these master plan chapters. I could say per a build out analysis, this percentage is able to be developed. And then it's like, cool, there's a number that I stuck in a master plan.
So of the things to get us, and Lori's, I love that. Like she's making sure that we've got our ducks in a row so we perform our obligations to maintain the HOP grant. What is needed from the board members versus what you will be doing, and we appreciate all your work, by the way. So
Yeah.
just I think she's trying to get at, like, tell us what we need to do to make sure we're keep on track for that.
I pretty much do everything, and then you provide comments.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, good.
And my presentations are a lot less lengthy than Jen's.
Okay. Give 'em this-
Are
But
they
I'm
fun?
more excited about
to keep you to it.
children.
Are they fun?
I can add more animations. Wait, you don't think that this is fun? I color coded it by season.
There we go.
Nice.
Oh, boy.
Well, June is kind of blah. So, all right. So everything looks pretty good in order for now.
Yes,
Right.
and
Good.
next meeting we are going to. It's not working. Two applications, site walk. We're going to very quickly talk about the survey because I'm going to send it to you guys super ahead of time. And then we're just going to pick dates and location for the info session and workshop. And that'll be very quick.
719, the fifth block over there. Pawtucket Imaging Plaza, ZBA conversation, district definitions. What do we?
That was just a note based off of previous meetings. I don't know if you want to continue that conversation. I did ask about Pawtucket Imaging Plaza, and there's no update. They haven't responded to the questions. I think that they're having some issues with the transformer.
Oh yeah.
Could take.
Do we know who said the person is? Entity? Does it have a
It says
name?
it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Tell,
a
tell,
You sent that, right?
Yes.
yeah. It's a
Yeah.
it's a hospital system out of
I
like
don't
Utah
remember.
or something.
Telluride or something?
So
I've never heard of them. But
if
it's not
need
a thing now.
if they need a major transformer changed, isn't that kind of indicative of a major change of use?
I wouldn't say so.
You know, I'm just
I mean,
kind of thinking about that. You know,
If they need more power than they have available with a new transformer, it's because their devices take a lot of power to
Yeah.
run. But there's no more. I mean, if it was like a penny arcade and they needed a big transformer, I'd say, whoa. That's maybe a sign that it's bigger than we think. But I mean, these MRI CAT scan machines take a lot of power, so it's
Yeah, the space is only so big anyways, right? So
Yeah,
not
it's-
a big space.
which side of Bed Bath & Beyond is it? Towards the Home Depot side?
No, Staples side.
It's in between Bed Bath & Beyond and Staples.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's like a little door there.
So, and just not to bring up everything that we did last time, but I'm just, I have questions about what the procedure is that we're doing here. I mean, we have something where an applicant comes in and they present something to us. All right, we have something where somebody comes in and they have a sort of where we had the Haverhill Country Club, where it was just sort of a notional type interaction and things like that. What is this? All right, it just seems that it's very quasi, where it's there was a question about use, whether or not it was a change of use. Somebody opined that maybe it's a change of use, and then wanted our input. I mean, it just seems to me that it's not definitive. I mean, if someone were to object or had questions, what are they objecting to? A quasi use determination, a
It's definitely a
quasi
change
site
of use.
plan.
It's definitely a change of use.
It's just
I'm disappointed at the last meeting what the board decided on a consensus. I believe it should come before this board. I don't think the board is doing its due diligence when there's a change of use, and we're just saying, oh, and by the way, it was thrown in last minute, and I just don't agree with what happened. I think it should come before the board like everybody else. We're not talking that these people can't afford to do a site plan.
Yeah. Well, and unfortunately, the meeting has passed, and this isn't a public meeting on the subject and there's nothing to
Well,
talk
there's
about.
It
nothing,
wasn't
it
a
was
public
nothing
meeting
public
at
to
the
begin
last
with.
one either.
Yeah.
That's my point. It's just that there was nothing officially before the board, so.
Yeah. And we
so-
could definitely talk about that when it comes to updating the zoning ordinance, because that is a
Well,
weird
it's a
thing. I've
rule,
never
it's a rule,
seen
it's
that.
rules and procedures, all right? I
Okay.
mean, one, I believe, no new business was supposed to sort of be introduced in that sort of fashion.
Yeah.
And it's more than just sort of oh, wait, something new just came in. This is almost sort of a quasi application of some kind that's
I think,
kind of in the door, but it's
So then
not in the
maybe
door.
the rules of procedure conversation needs to be brought up.
But it's already in our zoning. A change of use is supposed to come before this board.
the question was,
There was a contradiction though, where it did say the zoning officer.
the question
I had
was,
the right to approve it.
But that's not,
Yeah.
that,
And it
but
was more or
that would
less,
be for a minor change of use.
It's all subjective. Which is why,
Well, all they did was take a consensus. They didn't take a vote. The board did not vote.
we didn't
Yeah.
have a public application, we didn't have a public hearing. You're right, I did a consensus. I was wanting to, I guess if the question was, we could have done an official vote. I don't know that one was procedurally necessary.
And
But
the zoning officer
I think it would've gone
does
3-2.
have the ability, if something isn't a major change of use, that the zoning officer can proceed. But the zoning officer asked for this board to
Yeah.
move forward.
Yeah.
And then a vote was not taken. It was a consensus.
Mhm.
So
My argument was
I'd
that
like to take a vote tonight that this change of use, they submit a site plan to this board.
should the applicant come forward and present plans to,
That they go through the regular site plan review, like everybody else.
Well, you know, and if there's some sort of mitigating circumstance, as, you know, as it was put to us before in the other business that was in front of us, that, you know, we have discretion to waive things if we want, or make an assessment of some kind. So, I mean, I guess I didn't necessarily buy some of the argument that, well, they don't need to do it. They're not obligated to do it. Or maybe they didn't want to do the expense or something along those lines. But that's something that should come up in the course of the normal give and take. An application is made. If there's a question, I personally think the board ought to know all the facts associated with it. And then if we're being asked to make a determination, then we make a determination. If it's a question of, well, it's a borderline issue and maybe, you know, some of these fees or application fees or whatever can be waived, then we do that. But I mean, right now it's, you know, you have something that's not in the door. We've been a little more strident with other applications than we are with this one. So I don't
well,
necessarily
I don't think it
know
really
what's
was
different.
quite an application that came before us, right? It was, she had the right to determine it without even coming to us on this one. It was more of a courtesy that was put towards us.
and it was,
She wanted the blessing of the board.
It was more to inform us, so she got it. I mean, it's probably not the time or the place right now to be discussing it without more information. I don't have the notes in front of me.
I
yeah.
don't even know if they're ever going to come back.
No, they may not. It was an inquiry. The question was, if they do come in front of the board, would it require site plan review, or could she make a zoning determination that the use was allowed because it was allowed in the district but not allowed at that property? I was pretty clear that I would have voted for a site plan review. How we deal with that whole thing procedurally, it's not something that's come in front of us before. I think the consensus with the members of that evening would have gone 2-3. That 3 would have said, let D just make a zoning determination, and 2 to say, let's have a site plan if they should come forward. Now, the vote could change this evening if we actually talked about it this evening because we have different members here. So procedurally, I don't know what the correct answer is, but
Well, I think if there's concern about when things come in for a change of use, we can tighten the definition of change of use.
yeah.
And that, I mean, that would be the proper thing to do. Then there's no, I think it's okay, I don't think it's okay. You know, be in black and white.
My comment was that we put a zoning amendment in to tighten up when a site plan was required and when it wasn't, or when it was required. And that's kind of why I was saying, well, let's lean towards a requirement than not. So, I'm not sure what the right answer is. I guess
we just changed this, actually. I brought it with me. We did change this. It went on the warrant in 2020. We modified it. And right now, change of use. A change of use occurs when an existing permitted use in the C1, C2, Industrial 1, Industrial 2, or Integrated Commercial Residential Districts is proposed to be changed to another permitted use, which this is going to another permitted use. Such use shall be determined as permitted by the zoning officer. If the zoning officer determines that the proposed change of use is more intense or significantly different than the existing use, the proposed use shall require site plan approval by the planning board prior to the issuance of any permits. So if the zoning officer felt as though they could have moved forward, then I believe they would have, and it wouldn't have even been brought to the board. But now it's been brought to the board, and I believe it should go through the site plan review process.
I think she was looking for some guidance about whether or not those two factors, right? Is it less intense, more intense? I think we determined that from a traffic piece, it was less intense. From a resource need, I think there's different needs. So
Yeah, because
But
there's only
we-
gonna be,
we
two
didn't-
rooms in there, so you're only talking two people coming at once, and
Yeah.
that parking lot's plenty big.
yeah, from a power standpoint, obviously,
Is
it's gonna
that
be
the
more.
process where we're just sort of given, spoon-fed a certain amount of information and then other information is held back? And then that's how we make a determination? I guess that was my objection, is that if it's a question we're being asked to make a determination, then the information can't be halfway. It should be like, all right, where's the information? Where's, the staff report and what we're being asked to do, not, some sort of abstract problem where.
Yeah. What was the second criteria there for? So one was intensity, and then what was the other one? A significant change of use.
It's the yellow.
If there's a more intense or significantly different. I mean, in a sense, it is. In a sense, I don't know. It's a hard one. That's why we kind of talked about it here. And would this question be able to be discussed again if the applicant comes towards us for an official determination? Because that was brought to us at the last minute.
Yeah.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we ask that if the applicant reaches out for a potential application, that we take an official vote on whether or not we believe it should be zoning determination or planning board determination. If there's any questions about that, just reach out to me and
Yeah.
we'll have a discussion. I think we could get stuck on this one for a bit here, so I want to kind of keep moving things forward. All right, so within that, there's a bond estimate for 143 Plaistow. Did you have anything else, Victoria?
As long as we're okay with the schedule.
Yep, no, it looks great. Thank you. All right. All right. So there's a bond hearing. On June 19, 2019, Planning Board conditionally approved a site plan for a commercial equipment leasing business at the above noted address. After matters in the courts have now been resolved, the applicant is currently working on meeting conditions so the plan can be recorded at the Rockingham County Registry of Deeds. Contractor for the site work for the project has submitted a bond estimate worksheet attached, which has been reviewed by K&A. Planning Board review engineers. K&A has revised the calculations included in the bond estimate worksheet. See attached email from Jeff Quirk of K&A. Per Planning Board Regulation 235-12-10A, construction bond security for site plans, including amended site plans, shall be the greater amount of 10% of the total site improvement cost estimate or $5,000. Total amount shown and reviewed on the revised bond estimate worksheet is $1,992,028.50. 10% of that number would be $199,202.85, which is the amount that the bond should be set at per regulation. No site construction will begin until the final plan has been signed and recorded. The bond surety has been received by the planning department and a pre-construction meeting has been held. Staff is recommending that the board vote to set the bond amount for the project at 140 Plaistow Road. Any questions on that? Just going to take a quick look. All right. I wasn't here when this site plan was approved. I also had opinions about the site plan publicly. I don't know if that would warrant any sort of abstention.
Probably not, because this is just about the bond, that's it.
Yeah. Would the board, would anybody else feel that any abstentions are required?
I'll be abstaining.
And so will I.
You need the motion?
Yeah.
I move that the bond for the site work related to the construction of a new commercial equipment leasing facility at 143 Plaistow Road be set at $199,202.85.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Bill motions. Tim seconds. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
Two abstentions, Lori and Richard Anthony. All right, motion passes. All right. Anything else? All right, with that, we'll wrap up the meeting at 8:33. Thank you.